So it's the Championship playoff final, and I've got predictions from both sets of fans, my predictions coming at the end, and a tactical preview like nothing we've ever seen before on this channel. So let's get into the video. So yeah, we've got a West London derby for the Championship playoff final, Brentford versus Fulham. Which one of them will join Leeds and West Brom in the Premier League next season? Brentford managed to get past Swansea, a brilliant second leg performance at Griffin Park, the last ever game there, sent it off with a bang. Benrahma and Watkins were both brilliant and instrumental in Brentford reaching Wembley. Meanwhile, Fulham held off a spirited Cardiff side at Craven Cottage to reach Wembley. They did that without Mitrovic. Cabano could also miss the final, but to give us the inside look at Fulham before this final, we've spoken to William at Fulham Focus.
I think I'm slightly confident. I'm probably more confident than I should be, considering we've lost twice to them this season. But I think the playoff final is kind of a separate game. It's like a one-off. It's nothing like the usual game. You know, it's played at Wembley. It's completely different to a league match. It's not home or away. And experience plays a massive part. So, of course, when we went up, we still have a lot of that team. Admittedly, they aren't all in the starting 11, but obviously the goal scorer, Kearney, still is, and Mitrovic, who was one of the main men for the second half of that season, is still in the team. And obviously you've got Bettinelli, McDonald, Stefan Johansson still around the team, you know, around the subs bench. So obviously the atmosphere is probably quite good right now around the club, considering a lot of people have been in the playoffs before, compared to Brentford's team, who don't really have that much experience in it. So I think I am quite confident, but obviously we know Brentford are a great team. Although Mitrovic did just edge Ollie Watkins in top goal scorers, he has been great this season. And their front three of Mbeumo, Benrahma and Watkins have been absolutely exceptional. Whereas for us, Mitrovic has got most of our goals. But recently, Onuma and Cabano have stepped up and obviously got us through to the final, really. Cabano's been great. He did go off with an injury last game. Hopefully he's fit for the final, because I'd really like to see him play. And same as Mitrovic, he's not 100% guaranteed to play, but I really hope he does, because him and Cabano deserve it quite a lot. On the pitch, kind of head-to-head battles, I think the midfield's going to be quite crucial. Jensen for Brentford has looked great recently, whereas Kearney hasn't been at his prime this season. But last game against Cardiff, he did look a lot better. Kind of before, we've kind of been annoyed that he slowed down the play, but last game was a game where we needed to slow down the play. Obviously, we lost that game in the end, but went through an aggregate, so it doesn't matter too much. And also, hopefully, our defence can contain Brentford. Obviously, Hector has been great since he's come in since January. And the last few games, Ream has really started to look a lot better than he has this season. And same as Christie and Brian. Brian hasn't been known for his defensive duties, but recently he's really stepped up, which is great to see. And Christie as well, who's always kind of been a sub right back for us, has stepped up, which is great to see. As for score predictions, I think that it'll be a 1-0 win to us. I think it's going to be a really close game, because we know Brentford's quality, and we also have that quality. We're just a bit more of a possession side, and maybe don't look as kind of good watching the fast break football even that Brentford play. So we'll have to see what happens, but I think we can definitely pull off a result. It's going to be close. I think the fact that the media have quite a lot of attention on Brentford, and they seem to want them go up, considering they're in the new stadium and everything like that, which of course would be nice in the Premier League, but when we're playing them, obviously we want to win. So I think the fact the media are probably putting quite a lot of pressure on Brentford could mean that we do get the edge, and it's kind of an unexpected edge. So yeah, 1-0 to the Whites. Come on, Fulham.
Thanks for that, Will, and Fulham will have to go some to keep a clean sheet against Brentford, won't they? They lost both games in the regular season, 1-0 and 2-0 respectively, and they'll have to do well to keep out that front three of Mbeumo, Watkins and Benrahma. It's going to be a tough ask, but if they can do it, they've got every chance of reaching the Premier League. Scott Parker, I think, wouldn't underestimate him. Perhaps Mitrovic could start, perhaps Cabano could start as well. There could be a few mind games at play here, and Fulham fans will be hopeful that they can get their top scorer on the pitch. I want to see both him and Watkins play the full game, but they might not be fully fit. Of course, Brentford will heavily rely on Ollie Watkins. And to get the inside look on how Brentford fans are feeling ahead of this, we got a clip sent in from Rajan at BeesTV.
Hello empty seats, BeesTV, Rajan here, and it is Tuesday, the battle of Brentford's whole season, probably one of the biggest games in Brentford's entire history, I'd probably say. And so much is riding on this. I think you asked the question of whether we are nervous or not, and the answer is clearly yes. It's not whether the fans are nervous, it's how nervous they are, and everyone is absolutely just having so many emotions going into their head. It's all on Tuesday. Wembley, it's all on the one single match. Think about how much your life, how much the club could change just from one game, which is incredible to think. It rides on Wembley, £170 million, a chance for Brentford to go up into the Premier League for the first time in 73 years, and that is incredible. So, score prediction. I mean, we've seen Aleksandar Mitrovic go off injured, and I think he's going to be out for the game on Tuesday. So, with a weakened attack, with a weakened Fulham attack, and already looking that Brentford have one of the best defences in the league, I would hope, and I think, that Fulham won't score. And with Brentford's attack going up to a fairly decent Fulham defence, I think we'll just manage to scrape a 1-0 win late in the day. That's my personal opinion. But yeah, that's that. And all we've got to say left is, come on, you Bees.
So 2 1-0 score predictions there. Both fans clearly nervous, and Championship playoff finals can be quite tense affairs with neither team wanting to make a mistake. We know the Fulham defence will be keen on keeping a clean sheet. The likes of Ethan Pinnock, Pontus Jansson, David Raya in goal. They'd love a clean sheet in this game, and Fulham will be looking to do exactly the same thing. But don't let me do the tactical preview, because we've got an expert on the channel now to give you a full detailed tactical preview and discuss the key battles in the game. This is a real treat for you guys, and I really enjoyed it. He's great. Give him a follow on Twitter. This is Jacob from Bees Analytica.
Hello and welcome to a collaboration with Empty Seats and me, Bees Analytica. We're going to be looking through the playoff final, some key trends, some tactical information, some statistics on the game. So first of all, have a look at the head-to-head between Fulham and Brentford. It's incredibly close in their history, and the rivalry couldn't be stronger between the two West London sides. The final standings this season couldn't separate them by points, but Brentford's far superior goal difference kept them above Fulham in the playoff hunt. So we're going to look at a brief style of play for Fulham quickly. So they're quite a possession-heavy team with the second highest average possession in the league this season. They have an incredibly high volume of short passes as well, with 475 per game, which is nearly 50 more than their nearest competitor. But they're also the most accurate, with 83.2% of their passes being complete this season. This could show quite a bit of caution that Fulham have, but also that they like to keep the ball to draw teams out of position. Their wide play is essential. We'll look more into that in the tactical debrief. But they have the 5th most crosses into the box per game this season with 4.7, just showing the importance of the width. And they are frequent long shot takers, with over 43% of all shots they've taken this season outside of the area. This is the 4th highest figure in the league. Brentford, on the other hand, again will try and dominate the ball frequently, with the 3rd highest average possession per game. But they are excellent at creating goal scoring opportunities for themselves, with 62% of all chances coming with inside the area. They're also an intense pressing team when they're not on the ball, with the 4th lowest passes allowed per defensive action. And with their set pieces well documented, they're also one of the most lethal of them in the league. So a quick tactical breakdown on Fulham. So as you can see on the attacking transition side, their fullbacks will look to provide width alongside their wingers, aiming to get the ball into their key target man, Mitrovic. I'm expecting Onoma to transition into more that number 10 behind Mitrovic, with late runs into the box afterwards. Reed will tend to step up from his holding position and come alongside Kearney as a playmaker, as the green lines represent their rough animations from when they're attacking. Defensively though, they set up in a very typical 4-5-1 low block. They'll get men behind the ball, their wide players out wide to tuck in to not be overloaded numerically out wide, and Mitrovic will just be a very basic screen across the front if the defending team has the ball. We're looking at this type of defensive transition with Fulham, so it'll be difficult for Brentford to try and break them down, but if they can counter-attack on them like they did in the first game when they played post-lockdown, it'll be excellent for Brentford for opportunities to come. When we're looking at a likely lineup, we'd expect Fulham not to change particularly much from where they have been playing. Mitrovic is very touch and go, and Fulham fans have been worried online about his fitness, but I don't expect them not to start him. On the other hand, we look at a tactical breakdown now with Brentford. Now, Brentford's attacking transition is a lot more fluid than a solid 4-3-3, and they both play this system very differently. Whereas Brentford will look to overload wide areas with their central midfield players, mainly De Silva and Jensen. Benrahma and Mbeumo will tuck in alongside Watkins to kind of create that confusion of, do you stick or twist as a back four or a back five? Does the centre backs mark the two wide players, or do you have your full backs tuck in? An added dimension to this is Norgard doesn't just hold. Against QPR this season, he was getting a lot further forward, where Jensen then would drop in and fill in at the number 4 position. Norgard then would overlap, which created more confusion of stick or twist, where do you track runners? Fullbacks are also important for the Brentford system, with Rico Henry and Mbeumo providing a lot of width on the left-hand side. Mbeumo tends to play more of a winger role than the inside forward that Benrahma would. We've also looked, though, when attacking, that Brentford tend to transition into a 3-4-3, so that allows greater flexibility for our midfield to get further forward. And then Dalsgaard then will come and cover round and make a back three along with Janssen and Pinnock. Defensively, although very similar to Fulham's setup, Brentford tend to set more in a 4-1-4-1. This is so Norgard will screen in front of the central defenders, and we'll have our wide players will track back and tuck into this midfield 4 shape, again where they'll tend to match or press intently against the opposition. I'm expecting Frank to bring De Silva in for this game, whereas Marcondes was excellent against Swansea. De Silva plays the role a bit better when we're trying to break teams down that will sit behind the ball. We'll now look at some key battles this season from their statistics. This Raya versus Rodak, both have been incredibly good goalkeepers this season, with Raya pipping Rodak to the Golden Glove in the end, along with other keepers. For the quality that Rodak's facing per game, he's doing incredibly well. And Raya has massively benefited by a much improved defence in front of him. But just something about Raya, his exits and his claims per 90 are just a lot higher, which makes him stand out a lot more. He commands the area, as you saw from the coverage against Swansea. If there's a ball put into the box, Raya won't shy away from coming off his line to get rid of the ball. Central midfielders, this is a fascinating one for me. Norgard and Reid have been one of the best players post-lockdown, personally. Reid's come back and the game really changed when he came off against us last time. But Norgard is also no mug. Like I mentioned in the tactical brief, Norgard is excellent when he comes and overloads and overlaps. And that's why you can see a slight increase on his progressive numbers and his through passes. Both additions are excellently defensively, and I doubt Parker will make the same mistake again, taking Reid off. And then you cannot talk about the two main men, Ollie Watkins and Mitrovic, who've chased each other down all through the season for that golden boot, with Mitrovic just pipping him in the end. I must say Mitrovic is an excellent striker, and I'd be massively surprised if they don't play him in the final, even if he is carrying a slight knock. As you can see, both of their profiles are incredibly similar to each other, with Watkins tending to play a bit of a playmaker role, and Mitrovic an out-and-out number 9. But that's just the way they fit into the systems, whereas Mitrovic is the attack, Watkins is one of 3 where they share the goal scoring. This season, Mitrovic has contributed 41% of all of Fulham's goals, whereas Watkins has scored 25 of the 57 out of the front 3. So as you can see, that's the tactical difference of whereas Fulham will try and create the width out wide, and it's get the ball to Mitrovic. Brentford are a lot more fluid and have a lot more dynamics in their attacking transitions, whereas Watkins will go play out wide, Benrahma will come in and play as a 9-10, and Mbeumo will come in occasionally, play as the striker. There's a lot more animations to the system than there is with a Fulham. I doubt you'll see Mitrovic filling out wide and whipping the ball into Knockout, is what I'm trying to say. But that's not without being successful. Fulham have massively deservedly 4th in the league this season and have looked okay in places with Parker. But they are in a process of building something. It's not going to all come. Brentford are 4 or 5 years down the line of where they want to be. But it's looking incredibly good for Fulham, and I expect a really tight contest again and a moment of magic to separate a Said, a Kearney, a Mitrovic, a Watkins. A moment of magic from the main men. I think this game will be incredibly tight. Thanks for having me on Empty Seats, and this is me, Bees Analytica.
Thanks so much for that, Jacob. That's a level of detail I don't think we've seen on the channel before. Every single stat covered, the key battles. I really enjoyed that. I hope you did too. And thanks so much to all the contributors today, giving up their free time to send in a clip. I really appreciate it. And it just makes these videos a well-rounded video for me. I mean, you don't have to listen to me go on and on, but now it is time for my score prediction. And I actually disagree with both sets of fans. I don't think it's going to be a 1-0 either way. I think Fulham have got playoff experience before, but I'm not sure with no fans there it'll make that much of a difference. I think if they've played at a full Wembley before and Brentford haven't, you could see that as an advantage, but I think that probably cancels it out. I mean, if Mitrovic and Cabano miss this game, I make Brentford heavy favourites, and I think if they do play, they probably won't be fully fit. I mean, if you've watched the channel for long enough now, you know how much I've praised Brentford. I love what they've done. I love this team, Benrahma, Pinnock. They've really impressed me this season. The midfield, as we've just seen in that tactical preview, is going to be a key battle area, and I think Brentford can just about get hold of it. I mean, this was the final I predicted in my Championship playoff predictions before the semi-finals. I thought Fulham and Brentford would both make it to the final, and in that video, I thought Brentford would get promoted, so I'm not going to change my mind now. I think Brentford are going to get the job done, and I really hoped Fulham would have a fully fit squad. I think that could be the difference here, but I think there's going to be goals, and I really hope there is. So I'm predicting a 3-1 win to Brentford. I think Benrahma will probably score, and I hope we get to see Mitrovic, and I hope he gets on the score sheet as well. I'm hoping for an entertaining game. You don't get too many of them in the Championship playoff final because of the pressure, but please let me know your score predictions down below. I want to hear them, and I hope you've enjoyed this preview because we've covered almost everything. I think Tuesday night, make sure you tune in, make sure you give the guys a follow who have contributed to this video, and subscribe and like the channel if you've enjoyed it and for more Football League content. But for now, guys, that is it. I will see you on the next one.